Streaming right now. And let's see if that works. I think we're working. And I'll just grab the link for you here. Hey, it's working. Usually you guys got a pretty sick intro with the Vibrantor. I seen that one that you guys did. It was like a really crazy, like 2 minute long introduction. And that was, I need that. Need to hire that guy.
What, for the music?
It was something. It was an anime. It was like a Patriot video.
Yeah, do you do the animations?
Yeah.
Oh, that was Paranoid American.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, yeah, you should talk to that guy. He's great. He's doing a lot of teaching on his channel about how to use AI to create what you need. And yeah, his stuff is the coolest looking AI stuff I've ever seen, for sure.
Well, that's probably going to come up in our topic today. How do we utilize technology in this strange world that we're in?
Yeah.
How do we use it consciously and not have it use us, which it appears it wants to kind of do?
I don't put too much like agency into the technology itself. We've been the way that we've been persuaded to look at technology as if it's its own egregore, that it has a mind of its own, the Skynet thing, the Hollywood version of AI. I don't think that that's really what goes on. Even if there's some modicum of consciousness that could arrive within the closed loop circuitry of electricity in a system like computer or a larger network, I still don't think that it has the self-reflective quality that our experience of life gives us. Maybe there's a way to make it have that, but to me it looks more like just big data, algorithmic processing, heavy duty, faster and faster processing. But I also, I can look at things both ways. The moon's in Libra today, so you might get me really like, it's like this and it's like this. I don't know. But in terms of it using us or technology using us, of course, everything that's free, you're the product, and even a lot of stuff that's not free, you're still the product. Using technology consciously is intention, it's half the game, and then having what I think helps the most is having a clear understanding of what the technology represents spiritually. So I think that what we're doing here right now, like talking across vast distances. One of you is on the East Coast, one's on the West Coast. I'm in the middle of the country. I think that we have the innate capacity to do this within ourselves, within it's a spiritual ability. Technology is a plagiarization of spiritual essence or truth. Or spiritual isn't the right word. Natural. All technology is a plagiarization of something that nature can do, right? And so we're nature, and people have reported experiences of talking to each other long distance. There's remote viewing. I knew a guy who claimed that he dropped acid and had an astral travel where he met somebody else in the astral travel, and they like talked to each other and decided where to meet in real life, and they both went to that place, and the other one was there. That's anecdotal, but I basically why I'm saying this is so that we can understand that we get technology in the world in our current time in this form because we are expanding in our consciousness, which means our limited storyline of who we are and what we can do hasn't caught up to the expansion that our consciousness is going through in this time period where energy, the availability of energy is increasing for the realm or for the one totality pleroma that we call life. So we have the story of computers and cell phones and things of that nature that nobody really fully understands exactly how the magic black box is putting my face on it and the other guy's face on it, and we're talking to each other without even a split second of lag between our thoughts. I think that we just are doing it that way because that's what we believe is possible. So technology, I think it's actually healthy to expect technology to be able to do more and better and faster because especially if you're looking at it as something internal, not external, that it's an outer world reflection of something that you're innately capable of, and maybe even like training wheels. So the technology gives people who aren't maybe thinking that way the imagination to at least be able to conceive of it if their belief system ever shifted enough so that they could conceive that they're actually unlimited enough to telepathically talk to somebody or be instantly connected in intention and feeling across the realm. Especially with tuning that I do for people, I know for sure that distance, separation, those are mental concepts. There's not a physical, hard and fast truth to that is restrictive or limiting in any sense.
So technology we can utilize as an extension of ourselves. We can utilize the technology as a physical hardware system to interact with ourselves, the world, and do things we previously wouldn't otherwise. Pretty interesting. I mean, I wish we all had telepathic abilities to where we could show up in screens within our vision and talk to each other there and record that and send that to signals everyone else, but here we're doing it in a very raw, bare to metal kind of way, and that's cool too.
Well, we actually are already doing the screens in our mind and talking to each other in our mind. We are just not aware that the connection is established, and mostly people use it for in a bad way. Think about when you're like annoyed with somebody and you've had a fight with them or whatever, and in your head you're just going through your day. You're like doing your dishes or your laundry or something, and in your mind you're like, well, then I would say this, and they would try to come back with la la, and I would be like, no, but this, and you're arguing with them in your mind, and you're like feeling the feelings as if it's really happening, or you're driving your car and you pass a cop, and then all of a sudden you're like in your head you're playing out the movie of getting pulled over by that cop and him asking to search your car and you being like, "There's no weed in here, officer." So we're doing the whole screen in the head and telecommunication thing all the time, but we're just not aware that connection is real. And I think there's also kind of a subtle thing about it where we're looking at communication as requiring a conscious, aware, one-to-one reflection with somebody's physical avatar, if you will, or their body. When if you've ever known somebody that was close to you that died, have you ever tried to have a conversation with them in your mind and you could hear their voice in your head and you could hear exactly what they would say to what you were saying? That's real. You're talking to the essence of them, the image of them in your imagination. That's actually a more primary, a more real in some sense than the physical avatar to begin with, because the material reality is an extension or growth out of imagination. So in a way, it's actually kind of more convenient to the way that it works for us mentally, spiritually, because they don't have to pick up the phone. They don't have to be interrupted. They don't have to be in a good mood right then or whatever. The only thing is to get them on your contact list, you have to know them well enough to sort of get their essence and comprehend their essence, in which case then you could have the talk with them in your mind anytime you want, and you would get the reply back internally as if they were really talking to you. And I think those conversations are just as valid and have some value beyond what you would be able to get out of a face-to-face physical interaction. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And it's kind of funny because when I was younger, I always remember like sitting by myself and thinking of different people and be able to, like, with crystal clear, hear the voices in my head and like have a conversation with them. And I just feel like we're never really taught these skills and what it actually means, that we are, in a way, telepathically communicating with people, even though they're not physically there, and maybe they're not even aware of the conversations going on in our head. And maybe if from a young age we are kind of taught these skills and what they mean, as a whole and as a society, um, we would be more connected through that kind of wave instead of getting on like right now and going through webcams and the ethers of the internet. We would just be like, we're gonna, at 6 o'clock, we're all gonna sit down, we're gonna telepathically talk to each other. I think that's possible. I just think the way we live today, we've fallen off that path, and maybe sometime in the future, where there's already, you know, another like universe, or this is already happening in, and we're just living in the one where we're going down this more technological driven kind of aspect.
And it doesn't even have to be a this or that, or even maybe I'm even wrong to put a value on one thing over the other, but I think the problem begins when we're told or we infer from the way other people behave. Maybe we're not explicitly told, but we infer that imagination is something fake and not real. And so then immediately that devalues all of the experiences that we have internally that may incorporate other people and their image inside of us. But there's still value to the method like this, where we have the screens, because now other people can join in, other people can watch this, and we have all the aspects of physicality that we can express through too, which adds layers that aren't there in the purely mental. It's sort of like you don't want to just meditate. You want to also have some kind of physical energetic practice. And you don't want to do just the latter and not the former. So maybe we don't need to even put a value judgment on the psychic telecommunications over the technological. And instead I just look at them like sides of the same coin, that if one exists, then the other exists. That's what I think. As again, the technology, even calling it a plagiarization of nature is a little aggressive. It's a reflection of nature. It can only be done because it's something nature can do.
Personally, I interact with technology, 12 hours a day. I'm always on the screen typing away. I'm a programmer. I do a bunch of stuff. And the more I'm interacting with technology, it, in a way, helps me activate the more spiritual layers of myself, because it teaches me how to think, how to process things and put things in components and reuse it somewhere else. And growing up, I never really had that structured ability to view reality that way. And so for me, the most spiritual thing I've found to do is to interact with technology, interact with computers, not so much video games, but Wi-Fi, how hardware works, building websites. To me, that's the most spiritual thing I could do. And I did all the other stuff, the new age stuff, that was a long time ago, all the psychedelics and cannabis. Zach just made a video talking about his experience on that. And I think we're all just trying to find the new way to find ourselves or create ourselves in this modern world, because we have so much stuff now at our disposal. It's like, what can we do? What should we do? Because we can do anything. Before, we never had that. It wasn't as quite, put together like that. We really can do whatever we want.
I like to quote my friend Topher Gardner. He likes to say that this realm is the place where you get what you wish for. I think that's absolutely true. I've never thought of interacting with technology as itself a type of doorway to spirit, but you're combining with programming. I assume, I've never been a programmer, but logic and patterns and intention and creativity are all going into the mix together. So I could see how that would have some kind of spiritual growth to it, in the sense that, like, to me, I think it, like, my current understanding of what it means to have a spiritual experience is when the pattern of things, where you start to see the pattern of things everywhere at once inside yourself and outside of yourself. Like, excuse me. Last night, laying in bed, as often happens, I'm not laying there awake with thoughts of what if this bad thing happens or stressing about something. I'm laying there feeling like I'm, coming out of my body. Am I about to merge into the hyperspatial, pleroma, super God being, eternal one consciousness? Like, I feel like I'm not ready to leave reality yet. Let me stay. I'm like getting really far out. And, it occurred to me, I had this thought about like, why is the deity always associated with wisdom in all the different traditions? Many of the names of gods and goddesses actually etymologically pertain to wisdom as a concept. So why would that be? And the idea, if I can capture some fragment of it, because you know how these like meditative theta brainwave state epiphanies, they're very slippery, and you're sitting there in your breath, and all of a sudden you're like, aha, that's how it all works. How did I ever forget? Of course, that's the ultimate truth of existence. And then, the next
Forget
second,
it.
you're like, what was I thinking about?
Yeah.
So I was having one of those, and I think if I can capture a little bit of it, it was that the wisdom element of deity, maybe that's because as you incorporate, let me back up a little more, because my buddy Gabe, Slick Dissident, he was on a tremendous weave recently about, in our episode where we were talking about musical modes and music theory. He's on this tremendous weave about Socrates in prison the day before his execution or the night before his execution, realizing that he hadn't really mastered music yet as an art form or as like a philosophical discipline. So he starts like furiously scribbling lyrics and coming up with songs or something like that. I don't know the story firsthand, but I think that's the story that Dave was sharing. And it was about like realizing that you can never really plateau because there's always somewhere that you haven't applied your ability to gain wisdom to some area of creativity or expression. And maybe that's the nature of the God being pertaining to wisdom, because the more fragments of wisdom that you bring together in your consciousness, your awareness, the more of the overall pattern or tapestry of existence that you can comprehend simultaneously and see as interconnected, related, symmetrical. Maybe that's like bringing together fragments of source that have been spread out throughout the infinite multitude of peepholes of reality. And, that's why wisdom or gnosis has been considered in the esoteric tradition the pathway to the enlightenment or reunification with the creator. That the more wisdom you gain about how the pattern was woven together of reality, the more pieces of God's mind are unified into a singularity of one awareness, one point of awareness. And maybe that's like the path of the ascension, is gaining all these fragments of wisdom, bringing them together into a wholeness again, so that God can remember what God did through you and your journey and the experience you have of piecing it all together.
That is what it feels like. We're all piecing together the portions of ourselves which we either have forgot or haven't quite developed or something like that. I mean, I think that's actually why I was always drawn to programming, is because maybe in my own personal map of myself, I felt there were intuitively parts of me which weren't developed, so I sought out the way of how I would gather that knowledge through the modern tools we have available today. So logic, because I was so in the imagination realm when I was younger, I didn't know how to piece together things that were real and permanent, like object permanence of our reality. To me, it was such a strange thing. And so programming helped me kind of pound into me that this reality is real. And so maybe I sought out unconsciously that to help me.
So I just popped over and saw our live chat, and I see my buddy Mario in here. He says, "Chance doesn't sound as good as he usually sounds. Do I sound funny?
You
According
sound
to my
great to
settings
me.
in here, it is on the right mic. Hopefully.
Yeah, you sound fine to me.
Well-
Okay, cool. Maybe it's just the stream.
I also put your audio up a little bit after I seen that, so I'd imagine it's fine now.
Cool. All right. Just wanted to make sure. I like the pristine quality.
Oh, we're pristine.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, having fun. Where are we at now? What do we want to get into?
Oh, I just seen someone said a logical mind with fluid realities. That's what it is, In this time, a lot of people I think are having a hard time putting reality together. There's all just even since we invited you onto the show and everything that precipitated from then to now, now we got like a war we're stepping into. Now we got some crazy thing that we have to deal with, all the fear. And next week there's going to be another thing. To be anchored in reality, like how does one do that? What tools would be the foundation for you to just stay here now? Do you have any?
So yeah, I do want to answer that question, but I just played a little bit of the stream, and yeah, I sound totally like I'm far away. I think it's my webcam mic, but the settings here say that I'm using my Rodecaster, so I'm not sure why that's happening. I just switched it, toggled it, and toggled it back, and I don't know if that helped. Maybe people will let us know. But yeah, I want to make sure that we get good quality, and it's not picking up the mic that it says it's picking up here in the interface for this stream software. So I'm not sure what to do about that.
You have it changed in ping there? All right. We'll try something where I control your audio exclusively. And all right, try to say something. No, that's not. Now I can't hear you. All right, say something. Nope, can't hear you now. Zach, you say something.
How does my audio sound?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just now I can't hear Chance now.
Testing.
Yeah, yours is unchanged.
I think it was picking up his webcam mic
Oh,
in the YouTube stream, but in here it was going through his actual mic.
Strange. Yeah, I can't hear him.
I'd probably say come back in and then come back out.
Yeah, that may fix it.